Okay, there we go. So welcome. It's February the 19th, and we're going to do our usual routine this morning, which is we'll start by grounding and centering and breathing, coming into our own embodied experience, and then I'll give a little teaching talk, after which time you'll have a chance to introduce yourself, where you're connecting from, and respond to the talk or ask any questions. And then we'll go into our practice today, which is going to be a yoga nidra. And then after that, you'll have another chance to speak about your experience about the yoga nidra and ask any questions about yoga nidra or your practice in general. So this is a time for you to be able to touch in about your practice as well as a community. So I'm going to mute everybody just so we have a quiet environment. And let's just begin by feeling our connection with the earth. So feel the parts of your body that are connected to the earth, your feet, and your seat. Allow yourself to open to the qualities of the earth. So feel the stillness, the vastness, the openness, the acceptance, the allowing qualities of the earth. And notice as you open to them how they come into your body and your being. And then feeling the support and stability of the earth. Allow your spine to lengthen. Feel the opening through the back of your neck. Your ears coming out over your shoulders, slight tuck in your chin. Notice how that drops you into your body. Just notice what's present for you in your body today. And then let your breath settle into your lower belly, feeling your breath coming into your lower belly. And notice how the phrases of our mantra land for you in your body today. Remembering that I am intrinsically good without exception, and that I've been given this precious opportunity in my unique life. I find ways to engage in my daily practice every day. When I open to the vastness, stillness, silence, peace, and stability of the earth, that vastness, stillness, silence, peace, and stability enters into my body and my being. And remembering that my heart is open, tender, and responsive, I enter into my relationships as part of my everyday life. And so when we come together in our circle here as a community, we honor not only our individual bodies and our embodied nature, knowing that we each are intrinsically good, we each have access to our own wisdom. And we can trust the dignity of our own experience. And when we witness each other and listen to each other speak, we know that we can trust the dignity of each other's experience without needing to fix or rescue each other, even when it seems painful. And this is how we practice ahimsa, or loving kindness, here in our circles, in our community. So, as a way to transition into our talk today, let's just take a moment to acknowledge our community here and our interpersonal bodies, so the way that we're connected, and acknowledging the community that's shown up today for yourself and for each other. So I always like to acknowledge our unique configuration. And also, this goes in all directions of time, because many of you will show up to this practice again, probably in another time. And also, I really feel there's a sense of timelessness to our community. It goes in all directions of time, that when some people join our community, there does feel like a sense of timelessness to it, so that it feels like they've always been with us. And we can sense that now, even before they've joined us. And also the people that will be joining us in the recording later. So our community is all of us here right now, and those of us that will join later in the recording, and those of us that will join at another time. So I have a talk prepared for you today, which I'm quite excited about, because many of you have been practicing Yoga Nidra, the recordings that I've put up for you in the membership community, and enjoying them. And the one thing that many people, I think there are many reasons why I'm excited about this talk and this topic, mostly because of our connection to our community, and I know the need in our community. One of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about is sleep, and our desire for sleep, because a good night's sleep just feels so good. And when you wake feeling refreshed, it does feel so good. And also just that, I tell you that the number one, the two most things that I get requested is yoga for anxiety and yoga for sleep. These are the things that people ask me about the most. So these are, two things that people are, the biggest problems that people face is their sleep life and their emotional life. And I do feel this is tied into our fascia conversation, because I think that our view of sleep is somewhat limited, based on the research that I've done since my Yoga Nidra training, having been able to see a wholer view of it. And this is true of our view of fascia too. Fascia has really allowed us to see the wholeness of things. The jumping off point for our understanding of fascia this month, and Jackie used it this week in her daily yoga connection as well. That was the Tom Myers quote: "The whole is real, and any division is conceptual." And he's speaking about our bodies and the way we divide up our bodies, and fascia in particular. But this really applies to anything in our lives. And since taking the Yoga Nidra course, I've been studying more about sleep, specifically with Ruben Nyman. And he's a medical doctor that specializes in sleeping, but not just sleeping, but dreaming. And he's done a lot to expose the cultural bias towards waking consciousness. Everything that we do, we want to, we do so that we can be more awake, more alert, and more inclined towards our thinking and doing selves. And instead, he's shown that there are actually many layers of consciousness. We are always conscious and awake and aware. And these levels of consciousness happen between sleeping, waking, and dreaming. So when we say we want to have a good night's sleep, that's really not the whole picture. at all. So going back to the quote from Tom Myers that the whole is real and any division is conceptual, there's definitely been a division between waking and sleeping and a complete disregard for dreaming. So deep sleep happens during the first half of our night. So if you're one of those people that are so tired that you can usually fall asleep, however, in the middle of the night you wake up and then you can't get back to sleep, then you have what they call sleep maintenance insomnia. And then what happens is that you're missing out on the second half of the night of your sleep, which they call REM sleep, which is actually dreaming. And so in this case, what Ruben Nyman says is that you're dream deprived. You're not actually sleep deprived, you're dream deprived. And I think this is fascinating because the dream world is quite different from the sleep world. The dream world is an invitation to really expand our consciousness. You know, the waking world is quite linear, quite logical, quite thinking driven, quite intentionally driven. But the dream world really sits on the periphery of our ordinary life. Our dream world expands our consciousness. Really, if you think about any of your dreams, really, they can be very strange and anything goes and things happen in your dreams that would never happen in real life. But, you know, you go with it in your dreams. During REM or dreaming, our brain sifts through all of our experiences of our waking day, decides what to keep, what it will remember, what it will let go of. And Ruben Nyman says that we're remade in our dreams. What we take from our daily life, we add it to what we are. So if we don't dream, in a psychological sense, we really stop growing. And also, when we don't dream, we're overly focused on our waking world. And I think this is very true for our culture right now. We get overly focused on the world of doing and thinking, and our focus becomes quite mundane. You know, it becomes quite focused towards that to-do list. And that to-do list is very seductive, but it's never going to become done. And our perception of the world shrinks down to really all these mundane tasks, these work-oriented tasks, these job-oriented things. And the focus of our waking life just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller and more mundane. And, you know, the kind of more creative and more elaborate and elusive, and it's very hard to explain because it's just not logical or linear at all. But these non-linear, creative, imaginative ways of being are lost to this very mundane way of living. And there's many studies that show that people that are depressed don't dream. So there's a connection between clinical depression and a loss of dreams. And from our perspective in our community, because we're practicing a lot of yin yoga right now, dreaming is a very yin-like state. It's very open and very receptive. In fact, when we dream, our body is actually paralyzed. It can't move. And this is so that we can't act out what's happening in our dream. It's to keep us safe. It's a very different way of perceiving the world. It's a much more wide-angled lens, a much more relaxed view of our reality, where we really suspend judgment and analysis, you know, where we're willing to open to things that we might not be willing to open to experiencing in our day-to-day lives. So all this to say that I've decided to start our Yoga Nidra here with a Yoga Nidra for dreaming, because I'm really starting to question whether we're actually sleep deprived or whether we're actually dream deprived. And I suspect that we're actually more dream deprived than sleep deprived. So I'd love to hear what you think about this, what your thoughts are on this. And of course, I'll be doing a yoga nidra for sleep as well. But I think that in the context of, the whole is the only reality, and any division is sort of conceptual. Dreaming is a very important part of sleeping, and so that's why I wanted to bring that forward and kind of bring that back into balance here. So let's hand this over to you guys, and you can introduce yourself, where you're connecting from, ask any questions, or respond with your thoughts as well.
Hi everybody, shall I speak first? That's really interesting, Melissa, to hear about that, because my husband has always dreamed. He has some fantastic, amazing dreams, and he can always remember them. Sometimes I'm a bit jealous because occasionally I dream and remember, but I wouldn't say that, I dream so much, not that I remember anyway, so it'll be really interesting to see how it goes with yoga nidra. I love yoga nidra. I haven't practiced a lot in the past, and it just goes hand in hand with the yin yoga and the somatic practices. It's a beautiful practice, and I find it very easy to relax. But now, understanding more about the importance of dreaming, I'm excited to see how that's going to go then.
Linda from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and I was wondering, Melissa, I always thought or heard that the REM part of the sleep, or all the stages in sleep, something is making a noise now. You hear that?
Yeah.
And that is, it's kind of like a wave. So the REM part is not only one time in your sleep, but it will be 3 or 4 times in the sleep period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess I could look more into that. But from what I understand, from what Ruben Nyman says, is that you can't hear me. Can everybody else hear me? Yeah. So something's up with your computer. Can you hear me now, Linda? Can somebody suggest to Linda going in and out, coming back in the chat box?
I'll do it.
Thanks, Jane. So from what I understand about the sleep from Ruben Nyman is that the first half of our night, we experience deep sleep. And then in the second half of our night, we experience the REM sleep, and we might have 4 or 5 dreams. So that makes sense that it would be coming in and out. And that he does say that if we are not dreaming well in that second half of the night, like if we're awake in that part of the night, it can actually come into the deep sleep phase of the night because we're not managing well there. Because our mind is overtaking that part of the night, and then we lose the deep sleep phase of our night too.
I'm Paige. I'm phoning in from Italy. This is really interesting to me because I know that there's something that's being dream deprived. For years and years and years, I haven't remembered dreams. I would swear I didn't dream. Then occasionally something would happen and I'd say, oh no, remember I told you that just before the big green bunny popped into the room, and then I'd realized that I had dreamed. But when things are difficult and I have insomnia, I don't wake up in the middle of the night, but I don't go to sleep until the opportunity for dreaming has gone. Basically, I will go to sleep. I will sleep enough hours to be able to wake up and go again. And I figured it out that what it was, and I'm not having so much anymore, but it was dream avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole dream depression thing makes a lot of sense. Whatever was going to happen there was just something I'd rather stay up and do something else until the possibility of it was gone is what I'm thinking now. It's just fascinating research. Thank you for bringing it to us.
Yeah, and dreams are the world of the shadow land, and if we're completely honest about it, 2 out of 3 dreams are, quote, bad dreams. It takes a lot of courage to open to this realm, and yeah, it's really important for our psyches to have this way of sorting through our emotional life.
Makes absolute sense to me.
I'm Jane. I'm from the UK. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
A few years ago, I went to a women's conference, and I met a woman there who had, from a very early age, been encouraged to write dream diaries by her mother. And she must have been about 45, and she had dream diaries for the whole of her life. And I was so envious of her. I just thought, oh, I wish I'd been able to do that, because it was amazing. She'd almost been just trained almost in dreaming and sleeping in that way, that she could remember all of this stuff and just write it down.
Mm-hmm. And it can be, like what you're saying is important, Jane. So it can be as simple as setting the intention to dream and remember your dream when you go to bed. And then to, in the morning, in that transition to waking, to instead of, to take that, I don't know if you've noticed, but when we come out of Yoga Nidra, I don't say, okay, get up. There's that slow transition out. Hopefully it feels slow. And then it would be nice if you treated yourself with that kind of transition when you wake up in the morning. Take that slow transition time. Take that time to, because your dreams happen right before you wake up in the morning too. Take that time to just recall, okay, how am I feeling? What's the emotional tone here? What was I dreaming? And you'll be able to recall it. And then you can write it down first thing in the morning too. And as you start to recall, you'll be able to recall it more and more. You'll be able to piece it together.
And my brain wake me up, and I spend time reviewing it, because usually, even though they don't make any sense at all, they're quite interesting, and it takes me a while to fall back asleep. Last night I was at 1:15 and at 3:30.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is with dreams, we don't have to try to make sense of them. Like, it's a different world. It's, we don't have to bring our waking mind world to it. It's not a logical, linear thing that we have to bring meaning to. It's a whole different world. So it's not like we have to pull out our dream dictionaries and figure everything out.
It's annoying though to do it. Annoying.
But that's the waking mind saying that it's annoying.
Yeah. But sometimes it feels like, oh, I just fell asleep. There's a dream.
But there's there's value in the dream. Like, it's a very valuable type of sleep.
So is the problem with sleeping and not dreaming exacerbated because of the amount of alarms that we have to set now to get up?
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Well,
Yeah. We're cutting off our dream life. Like Ruben Nyman says, it's like giving somebody a novel and saying, oh, hold on a second, then just taking the last 10 pages and cutting it off and giving it back to them. Yeah, that's what an alarm clock does.
Interesting.
So I have a question, and I apologize for the dogs. So if I wake up at what I believe to be the end of a dream cycle, and I come awake, and I'm awake, I'm fully awake. Let's say it's at 4:15, and I'm not scheduled to wake up for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to sleep, and then when my alarm goes off, I have to crawl out of sleep. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you suppose that, given the fact that I can't sleep, until I wake up again after at 6:15 or whatever, would it be better to just get up and be done?
At 4?
Yeah, let's say 4:30. 4:15.
Yeah, no. So one of the things that stay in bed. One of the things that I'm learning is just not to be so alarmed by these middle of the night wakings. They're not a big deal. In fact, this idea that we should go to bed and then traverse all the way through the night for 8, 9, or 10 hours is just not really, it's kind of a fantasy. In fact, there's a lot of evidence to show that, hundreds of years ago, people used to get up in the middle of the night, sit up, talk about their dreams, have a cup of tea, and then go back to bed. It wasn't this kind of, full night of sleep. Is just not really, it's kind of it feeds into our goal-oriented waking life. Like, that's the goal, and that's what should happen. So when you wake up in the middle of the night, it's not a big deal. It's part of your biological rhythm. You can just relax into it. Also, a lot of times when we're awake in the night, it's just our consciousness. We can sometimes actually be asleep, and it's our consciousness aware of the fact that we're sleeping.
Yeah, I don't worry so much about waking up, fortunately. It's just that it's that crawling out from the alarm thing that's tough.
That's the difficult. Yeah, because then you've been awoken. Your alarm's woken you in the middle of a cycle, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's difficult when you have to be somewhere for work. Yeah.
Connecting from Spain. I dream vividly and intensely. I tend to fall asleep quickly and then wake up in the morning remembering parts of the dream. Not sometimes I don't remember, but I know I definitely dreamt the night before. I've noticed since practicing Yoga Nidra that the dreams seem to be, I'm able to remember them a little bit better than I have been before. I would say that I'm almost 100% sure that not a night goes past when I don't dream. And actually, sometimes I find it quite worrying that I dream so much. Almost the reverse. Yeah.
So how does it feel, Jackie, given this context now to
I don't know. I feel quite conflicted, if I'm honest with you. Because, because, I mean, I feel, you know, I don't necessarily feel sleep deprived, but I don't really know I don't really know anyone of my close friends who dreams as much as I dream. My husband certainly doesn't, and he thinks it's a bit weird. But in the context of, I don't know. I'm a bit confused because, you know, I wouldn't necessarily raise my hand up and say, you know, I've got a very healthy psyche. But I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, and maybe you can see how this is, it's the way that the waking world frames these things for us, you know. Mm-hmm. And if the dreams feel like, I just think about, you know, my daughter, when I think I wrote about this on the forum, we took her to the doctor and the doctor asked her, well, you know, how are you feeling? You know, how would you rate your mental well-being? And she says, well, you know, I'm dreaming a lot right now. And the doctor looks at her like, what? and she says, well, I'm dreaming more, so I think that's a good sign. And the doctor was just like confounded by this. She just didn't know what to make of it. And so then I tried to explain it. I said, well, I think, you know, she's sorting through her emotional processes well, because at night she, you know, she's taking the time to sort through her emotions. You know, I think this is a positive sign. She still is just like going right over her head, you know, and then so that we just let it go, you know. So I think that again, it's that the dichotomy between the waking and the sleeping world, you know, things that don't make sense in the waking world, it's like a whole different paradigm, this sleeping and dreaming world. And it doesn't mean that doesn't hold as much value as what happens in the waking world. So I think it really requires a paradigm shift, and maybe it probably is going to take time for many of us to be comfortable and to bring acceptance to, and to open to the possibility that the consciousness of sleeping, the consciousness of dreaming has as much value as the consciousness of our waking world, that there's different, they both have value.
Would you say that it's part of our spiritual life?
Yes. Maybe because it requires a lot more openness, fluidity, acceptance, letting go, surrender. Which is interesting, right, Jackie?
Interesting.
Because so like your dreaming and sleeping world, it's totally got that, right? Mm-hmm. And yet sort of in your waking world, you're very logical and very linear.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
I think that's where the conflict comes in.
Yeah. So your waking self isn't sure what to make of it. Go ahead, Linda.
Yeah. Do you think that people who sleep better or longer periods after another, they dream more than people who are? I wake up a lot of times at night, so breaking up the cycles more. I think I dream a lot, but I can't remember them. They just float away the moment I open my eyes. But do you think that people who, because I know Chris, he sleeps very well. He goes to bed, he falls asleep immediately, and he dreams very vivid, all night, he says, and he can tell hours of stories what's happening. So I never can tell, maybe just a small thing. So I think people who sleep very deep and an amount of time, they remember better or dream more. I'm just curious.
I don't know.
Mm.
I think, you'd probably have to do a study, probably very individual.
Yeah.
And I think we probably all have our own sleep personalities. And again, we don't need to fuss, just like we're all unique. I don't think we need to fuss over them and compare them to each other. The way I sleep and dream is going to be different than the way you do, the way Jackie does, the way Tim does, the way Trinity does, and to just get to know the way that we do and get, it's the same kind of journey, right? To bring openness and acceptance to our own path and to get to know it.
Yeah, but it's more that when you see dreams as a kind of part of your of experiencing your psyche. I think when it's always in small acting in small parts, then I'm just curious how it works. And there's no better or best, though that's true. But I think when you have more time to dream, there is more ease to remember, I think. But it's just a thought.
I don't know if that would be true, right? Like a dream could happen so quickly. It's a very timeless thing, and the way, I don't even really know the way that it happens in your own psyche, the way that it all unfolds. It could happen very quickly, right? The way that movie plays out on your screen.
Yeah.
So I think, just setting that intention to, when you go, and I do think treating it like, honoring all stages and ways of awareness and consciousness. And, you guys do what you want with it. But I think that treating sleep as being unconscious is just, for me, that wasn't working, right? For me, that made it a fearful place to go. So opening that to that as a different layer of consciousness, treating it as a spiritual practice, going to my bed at night, clearing the space, praying to the God of sleep, opening and welcoming dreams and setting the intention to dream. You create your own ritual around it. And then and see how it starts to unfold for you. And also the same is that you would come out of your practice, a yoga practice, create that smooth transition and slow transition out in the morning as you can. It's interesting, right? Just this whole conversation shows just what a different way of thinking about it is.
People have presented information that I've seen or heard about fluoride and its effects on the pineal gland in the brain, and that dimethyltryptamine is linked to dreaming, and it's produced in the pineal, or it may not be produced in the pineal gland, but they're linked. And when the fluoride is in the pineal gland, it calcifies, and it's not good for the gland, and it's linked to dreaming. So fluoride is like an ingredient in toothpaste, and there's fluoride-free toothpaste on the market, and I've been using fluoride-free toothpaste for like 3 years, and I don't know really, I can't really recall as to if the dreams are like more vivid or have been affected really, but it's something that I'm really kind of going with right now.
Mm-hmm. So there's lots of things that contribute to our difficulty with sleeping and dreaming, and there's just a myriad of factors, most of which are taking our waking life into our dreaming and sleeping world. And you know, over time we'll talk more and more about these things. And I don't like, what I don't really want is this to become overly prescriptive, because then that becomes taking our waking life into our dreaming world, you know. Then it becomes another to-do list, and I don't necessarily think that's overly healthy. So, and it's not the feel and the quality of that sleeping and dreaming world either, right? So shall we practice some yoga nidra now then? Okay. So go ahead and set yourself up in a comfortable position. It can be whatever position that you want. So make yourself as comfortable as possible and rest back into the obscurity of darkness. Surrender into Yoga Nidra for dreaming in whatever position feels most comfortable for you. Rest back into the twilight of darkness of your dreamscape, letting your chin be lower than your forehead, inviting your body into rest and repose. An eye pillow can help you invite the dusk and shadows of the dream world in. Yoga Nidra is a practice of resting in timeless awareness. There's no way you can do this practice wrong. You don't need to try to relax. You don't need to stay awake or try to go deep. And you may fall asleep, and that's completely okay. Surrender to your own experience and let go of outcome. Should you feel discomfort, know that it's not a problem. You can welcome discomfort and resistance. And if it persists, feel free to adjust your position. You're always free to step away from your practice if at any point you become overwhelmed. And if you find yourself becoming distracted in any way, let the distraction become a beautiful meditation bell to bring you back to your Yoga Nidra practice. Let my words wash over you, and don't worry if you miss any of them. And if you're not resonating with my chosen words, drop into the wisdom of your own experience. Open to the experience of your body. Welcome anything that you can genuinely appreciate within your experience at this moment. Be open to the energy and felt experience of appreciation allowing it to expand through your body. And from that place of appreciation, ask yourself, how do I want to feel in my life right now? And if nothing is coming forward, embrace the sweetness of not knowing and allow yourself to be present with no agenda. Surrender all the senses that track and scan in your waking world. Open all of your internal senses, the ones that intuit and dream. Feel the stillness of your body resting on the earth. Body quiet, unmoving, calm and serene. Feeling the support of the earth, material and blankets against skin. Heaviness and darkness of your eye pillow. Open to the space of the room around you. Become aware of your eyes. Feel the heaviness of the eye pillow, the darkness that envelops your eyes. Welcome your inner vision. Notice your ears and how they can hear sounds far away and closer in. Open to the sound of your own breathing. Feel your breath coming in through your nostrils. Notice the fragrance of the room. Feel the sensations in your mouth, moisture, tongue, and taste buds. Let go of thinking, open to sensing and feeling. Breathe into the space behind your eyebrows. Feel the hollow of your throat. Right shoulder, bend of the right elbow, right wrist. Rest in the palm of your hand, tip of your right thumb, tip of your right index finger, tip of your right middle finger, tip of your right ring finger, tip of your right little finger, space between your fingers, palm of your hand, wrist, bend of your right elbow, right shoulder, rest in the hollow of your throat, left shoulder, bend of the left elbow, left wrist, palm of your hand, left thumb, left index finger, left middle finger, left ring finger, left little finger, space between your fingers, palm of your hand, wrist, bend of your left elbow, left shoulder, rest in the hollow of your throat. Breathe into your heart center. Breathe into your belly. Become aware of your right hip, right knee, right ankle, tip of the right big toe, right second toe, right middle toe, right fourth toe, right little toe, space between the toes, sole of the foot, right ankle, bend of the right knee, right hip. Breathe into the lower abdomen. Become aware of your left hip, the bend of your left knee, left ankle, tip of the left big toe, tip of the left second toe, tip of the left middle toe, tip of the left fourth toe, tip of the left little toe, space between the toes, sole of the foot, left ankle, bend of the left knee, left hip. Breathe into your belly. Breathe into your heart center. And feel your breath at the space between your eyebrows. Breathe into your heart center. Breathe into your belly. And breathe into your whole body. If you are willing, feel the sensation of dreaminess in your body. Let the feeling of dreaminess grow and amplify. And when you feel ready, open your awareness to the sensation of certainty. Bring your awareness back to dreaminess. Then feel both dreaminess and certiness simultaneously. Without thinking, open to the experience of dreaminess and certainty dissolving into each other. Rest into the background of awareness. Know that there is nothing to do, nothing to accomplish, nothing to complete, nothing you need to get, nothing you need to know, and nowhere that you need to be. Slowly and ever so gently, gradually bring yourself back from the depths, letting this transition be as easy and gentle as possible. You may want to open and close your eyes a few times, adjusting to the darkness or lightness of the room. Give yourself time to soak up the darkness, the dreaminess, the rest and beingness of the experience of Yoga Nidra as you allow yourself to bring it into your waking world. I'm not the only one with a cold right now, huh? Sorry about my voice there at the end. Okay, so we have some time here. If you have any questions about Yoga Nidra, or if you want to speak about your experience today, or if you have any questions about this practice in general. I know some of you have been doing this practice from the recordings as well. And I will do a recording of this one once my cold is cleared up more. I don't think I'll do it yet today, for sure.
Is it a good thing, do you think, to practice the Yoga Nidra as you're going to sleep at night, or would it be more beneficial to do it as a separate practice earlier in the day?
I think you need to experiment for yourself and see what works best for you.
Okay.
Yeah. What have you found, Jane, so far?
I've used it to go to sleep, and that's nice. But I have to then get up and take the ear things out and everything, and then lie back down again. But I do go to sleep quite quickly after. But I also find it really refreshing if I do it in the middle of the day. If I'm flagging a bit, and it's just taking that space to rest, I think, rather than actually go and have a nap if I go to bed, which could last for just ages. So I like it. I like it during the day, I think.
I think I'm going to try it, Melissa, where I do most of my meditation practices in the morning. I'm going to try that and during the week and see how I do with that. I think see how I make out with that.
Mm-hmm.
Feels very much to me like earth descent.
Mm-hmm. How so, Michelle?
Because in earth descent, it feels like enveloped. It's a never-ending space, but it's kind of a bit like going through wallpaper paste or something. You know, that kind of, you're supported, but it's totally safe, and you're going in. Well, it did. I mean, I'm not like you, full of cold and coughing so much. That's the last few nights have been so disturbed. But I have listened to the Yoga Nidras in bed, and it just brought me back to the present moment and stopped all that getting so annoyed because I'm coughing all the time and can't sleep. But I have experimented with it different times of the day, and it brings you back to the present and gives you that, like James says, if you go to have a lie down or a nap, the nap can take you too deep, and well, you kind of it feels like you've become unconscious to what's going on, and then it takes you ages to come back around, whereas the yoga nidra or the somatic meditation, it's very refreshing.
Yeah, it's got that same sense of like boundless awareness, I think. And I think the other thing is to be open to your own rhythms. So it doesn't have to be one thing all the time. So you'll have different rhythms depending on the season, depending on whether you're well or sick, depending on time of day. So there's a time and season for everything. So right now I'm using it a lot, like Michelle said, because I'm not well. So it's just, whenever, when you're sick, you just feel so tired, and that's tiredness. There's a medicine to that tiredness, right? It's telling you to rest. So I'll do it a lot. I'll wake up and I'll be tired, and I'll do it in the middle of the day because I'm tired, or, so there's that. And then in the winter, the days are so short. So, there's need for more rest. But then in the summer, the needs are going to change. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to be one thing all the time. To follow the rhythm, and don't be surprised if the needs for the practice change depending on the rhythm of your body. So just be open to that.
I'm finding that too, Melissa, with my yin classes and my hatha classes. Whatever I feel like in that day is what I've been listening to my body and doing what my body wants, whether it be yin or whether it be just the hatha practices, and it seems to be working really well.
Yeah, it's really, really good to feel into your body, to see if it needs a more energizing practice, if you need to move, or if you need to be still, or is it restorative, or is it, really good. That's absolutely what you should be doing.
So beautiful the way this all keeps building. And this morning, because I'm at my mum's and I haven't got all my roller and everything with me, I've just got a yoga mat. I did some slow practice and some yin movements, and just it's incredible, that awareness of the body, and much more awareness of the muscles. And I was doing a lying twist, and there was so much more awareness of what was tight in my body than ever before, I think, and could really home in onto. And it's all just that accumulation, isn't it? And that deepening awareness. It's incredible. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think it does all keep building, and even just this practice, this yin, we're traveling a path through the body, and we'll do that pathway for a while until we get used to it, and then we'll probably start varying the pathways to follow meridians and things like that. But even yesterday in our yin practice, we did quite an advanced practice. For Jane was there and Diane was there. We did we did the 3 stars of the lower Dantian to start to move energy through the body, and that was really cool. So Michelle's talking about how we can really build on these practices, because once you start to get those muscles working, so we're talking about visualizing and building that muscle of visualization. you can really start to do some amazing things with it. And so, you know, we're in the, and it is all working together. You know, we're doing it in the book club and here it's all coming together. You know, when we're clearing the channels here in the Yoga Nidra, and you know, yesterday we were in the live-in class, we were cultivating the chi, we were nourishing the kidneys through that practice, and they do all come together. And then when you come and do your yin practice, you'll notice that you'll start to feel those energy channels more clearly, and you'll start to feel the energy moving through your body more clearly. It does all work together. It really does. Okay, so anything else bubbling to the surface right now? Okay, so I'll be interested to hear how things unfold for you with your awareness around dreams. You know, that our membership site doesn't have to become a dream journal now or anything like that. But you know, just curious about opening your awareness to this level of, to that as an area of consciousness as well. And many of you have been saying that, you know, you'd notice, you know, speaking about clearing the channels and noticing energy, you know, this is another layer of energy. And many of you had spoken that your dreams have been becoming more vivid with the practice of Yoga Nidra, and it wasn't really that surprising. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to unfold for you. And we'll get the practice up from yesterday too. And I'll record this one when my cold moves through a little bit more. And I will be seeing you on the forum this week. Okay. Namaste.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.